welcome to another episode of Brothers Build, ladies and gentlemen. We missed y'all. So, fellas, how we doing? Everybody have a good day?
Good.
Man,
So far, so good.
All's well, healthy.
Can't ask for too much more than that. What about you, Meek? You got the crazy look over there.
Yo, COVID is kicking ass, man. It really is. It's taking a toll on everything, everybody, especially these kids in school. My kids were doing half the month in school and then the other half out of school.
Okay.
Right.
So now that is 4 confirmed cases in the school. Now they're at home all the time.
How do you know that? What do you get an email at the school center?
Yeah, they send us an email.
Oh,
So
that's crazy.
So now the hard thing now is because my work schedule, I'm not able to be up with them while they're making sure they're doing what they're supposed to. You know how kids are, like when you're not around, they're gonna be lounging around
Right.
and not getting done
Taking
what they're
extra
supposed to.
recess.
Yeah, like, what are you doing? You gotta do your work. So that's the struggle right now. But we're gonna make it work. We're gonna work it out.
Absolutely.
It's COVID fatigue, man. Just tired of everything associated with COVID. You know, I'm just tired of having to wear masks. I'm tired of having to just maneuver different. You know what I mean? I'm just tired of this maneuver. I got so many masks in my car. I got a little mask, green mask, black mask, stuff that's extra strength. Extra strength mask.
Don't know which one you didn't cough.
Yeah, I don't know which one. I'm getting COVID to my damn self. I done picked up a mask.
There's different levels of cough. Some coughs you can keep the mask on and wear. Other ones you got to change that.
Yeah. Disposable. I got Nick. I got bandanas. I got gator masks. All types of stuff.
Like, is that my breath?
Yeah. Ain't you be tired of smelling your own breath?
That's the ultimate.
It's like, oh my gosh, I gotta smell my own breath. I mean, it's good when everybody else can smell.
If you see somebody chewing gum with a mask on,
you
know.
I done got a little bit of lint from inside the mask from chewing gum. I done had to throw away my gum because I got half mask and half gum.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, man. Ridiculous. Yeah, we're gonna make it work. It's for protection, so we gotta do it.
What you got?
Oh, okay. So I want to give a shout out to my homegirl, Reek Green. This young lady, we went to high school together, and when I first started out on my photography venture, she showed me love. She was putting on a showcase with models and all, and I called her up and I said, "Hey, listen, I'm trying to do the photography thing." And I see that she put on a showcase. Would you mind? She was like, without hesitation, she was like, "Yeah, come take some pictures, some headshots for me. So help me pick these models." So she looked out for me, and I want to do the same for her. So shout out to Reek Green. She's coming out with a book this Black Friday.
Nice.
Yeah, man. I'm excited for her. I'm proud of her. The book is called Dating on Purpose: A Guide to Collecting the Right Data When Dating. Yeah, man. So I can't really the right data. You don't think about that when you're dating, right? You don't think
not collecting data.
you gotta collect the
data. I gotta keep a file on it.
You gotta make sure you got all the information needed
to make a decision whether you want to proceed.
Right, before you want to.
I must have been doing some different type of dating.
Yeah.
I had some very loose files, some weird thumb drives with a whole bunch of weird information.
I was excited to see what you look like when you woke up.
Yeah.
That's a real determination
That's
if it's going to last or not.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, but there's more to it, and she has a guide for it. So check her out on her social media, at Reek Green. Also, she has a pre-sale going on right now for her book called The Pre-Sale. You can find that on datingonpurposeguide.com. Datingonpurposeguide.com. So check her out, show her some love. Again, I'm proud of you, Reek. And keep doing your thing, and we're going to check for you. We're going to support and show you some love.
Right. Yeah. Congratulations to her.
Yeah, awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a wonderful guest today.
Very special guest.
Absolutely. And we are going to dig in on relationships and love, language, and all kinds of endeavors. So, we have Focus James on the show. Focus James is an experienced motivational speaker, relationship life coach, and the author of What is the Focus of Love? She also is a co-author of Harness the Power of Purpose, How to Monetize Your Business and Personal Journey. She has 2 ebooks, and she was educated at Temple University, which is located in Philadelphia. Focus James celebrates a life of very colorful life experiences, molded into a woman of love, acceptance, and peace. She has gathered the experiences of her past and testimonies of her present to continue her lifelong mission to empower young girls, women, and men, spiritually, emotionally, and financially.
Bring her out.
Focus is the CEO of the Focus of Love LLC, where she speaks insight and healing on all the facets of life.
Talk about it.
Also, she's the CEO of Focus Mogul LLC, where her mission is to provide each client the way and means for them to create 6 streams of income. I'm definitely interested in that.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we have Focus.
Hey, Miss Focus, how are you?
Focus, welcome.
She's focused.
I like her. I want to date her.
Yeah, you sound like a modern day Claire Huxtable out this day, right?
Talk to him.
You ain't never lie.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have Focus here. Focus, could you please just give us a little bit about yourself and your story? I'm very intrigued to hear your story and how one would come to be inspired to do as much as you have done. I would really like to know your experiences that got you to that point.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Well, first I have to say shout out and kudos to my sister whose book is coming out Friday. And yes, we need more information.
Reed Green, yes, ma'am.
Yes, let's give her kudos and buy that book, ladies and gents, because we can't walk in blindly and then want to blame the other person. So we got to do our due diligence. Copy of that book myself. So make sure you set that up for me, guys. So yes, my name is Focus from the Focus of Love, and I actually, the way that got birthed is I got married at 18. That's why I want that book, right?
Ooh, yeah, right.
I got married at 18 to a 21-year-old man. We both love God, but loving God is not enough. You also need emotional intelligence, the ability to problem solve, and absolutely how to share and make some good loving afterwards. But we were just too young. We didn't know how to fight fair and make some good love afterwards, guys.
Right. Yeah.
I literally just got off a basketball court with my boyfriend that was 6'9" at the time, talking. And we would just go from all around the city playing basketball. So I definitely didn't have the finesse of being a wife.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I have to admit that on this side of it all. And then he was just young, and his mother decided to have a church. She made him an assistant pastor. So before you know it, I'm a first lady in a fishbowl. He's trying to be a young pastor with a 3-year-old child. And we hired a nanny. We thought that would help. And that nanny also became the armor bearer of his mother, who was a pastor. And we found ourselves just like engulfed in this whole world going to church. I didn't went to church enough for a couple of lifetimes, just so you know, guys. Playing that role. But unfortunately, through all of the stress, and ladies, I don't want you to hear this as an excuse. I want you to hear this as an acknowledgement. I believe through all of the stress, he ended up cheating with the nanny. Right?
Oh my God! That's like a tabloid movie.
He did like an Arnold Schwarzenegger on the steroids.
The minute you mention nanny, that's the first thing that pops up.
But why is that?
That's all nannies is good for. They're watching the kids.
The minute she said nanny, I was like, he cheated with me.
Wow.
Exactly, and then had twins with her.
Oh, wow!
Not fruit.
Arnold Schwarzenegger for real.
Exactly. So let me tell you how I got mad at God, because I said, God, since I was 5, I wanted twins. Really though?
Slap me in the face.
So, for about 10 years, I walked around in some kind of level of forgiveness or not forgiveness. And of course, we ended up going through divorce.
And I'm sorry, real quick. I know you got married at 18. What age did this happen? The cheating?
Yeah. Great question. So let me answer this by saying the age I found out, I was about 24 at that point.
Ooh, I had some time.
Age I found out. Now I found out because a dear friend scooped me up. She said, "Hey, what you doing?" I said, "Oh, nothing, just chilling." I was, in the house. She said, "I want you to take a ride." And she pulled up to the church, the storefront. I said, "Why are we here?" She said, "Go take a look." So I jump out the car and I look, and they're having church service because he left me home again, having to rush out the door for some reason or another. And I look into the window, fellas, and I see, how the first lady and the pastor, the way they touch and lean over and talk to each other ear, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was doing that with the nanny. And what's going on? And they were dressed alike. You know how the first lady and the pastor had the colors together and
So he got her at the church stunting on
on the church. So I was totally devastated. I ran back to the car. I cried till I couldn't cry anymore. So that had me
Wow.
walking around like in no man's land for the next 10 years. I would tell that story bleeding over. And if you pulled up to pump gas next to me, I would
Like, ma'am, I'm just here to get some gas.
I just wasn't about to let it. That's it.
Yeah, that's when they see her, you know, just give me $1.50. I ain't gonna be here long.
I was that woman to tell you that the church,
Wow.
you know, you fill that in. And church people ain't all men cheat, you know. I mean, you know, yet it was a part of me that was trying to forgive, love God, you know. But then it came to a point where I traveled so much going to convention, you know, Bishop Jake's convention down, you know, in Atlanta, just trying to figure out how to heal the hurt. And you gotta heal that hurt. If you don't heal the hurt, you will absolutely repeat the pain.
Right.
That is so true.
So that's what drove me to get the education I did. I read so many books, especially the phenomenal one we're going to talk about, the 5 Love Languages. And my deepest healing came when I went to the Les Brown training to be a public speaker.
That's my guy.
It was, I love this guy. And here's the full circle. December the 11th, I'm going to be on the stage with Les Brown speaking.
Oh, wow.
Go ahead,
That's
girl.
awesome.
I like that.
That's my guy.
Get it. I love it.
Oh, I'm so
I never
about
quote
that.
a couple weeks ago that Les Brown said.
Yes, I'm so stoked about that. But when I went to his training in Chicago a couple of years, I sat there and he said, Focus, your story is so powerful.
It definitely is.
You home, you gotta write a book, you know, about your story. So I did, and I wrote the book called What is the Focus of Love? And
that was the first book. That's book number 1.
Yep, and that was in 90 days because I'm an athlete guy, so I was really competitive. So I said, I'm gonna write this thing in 90 days, right?
Wow.
And, you know, I got some workout partners that I met there, and we knocked that thing out, and it was therapeutic to no end. And how to heal the hurt, and it came on first recognizing that personally I wasn't really a good wife at that time. It doesn't excuse him cheating, but allows me to accept what I did so I can grow beyond that. And that's what
that is a very, very awesome point right there, because I know, and trust me, I don't condone cheating by any stretch of the imagination.
Especially not with nanny.
Yeah, absolutely not. But with that being said, a lot of women do not want to recognize what part they played in the infidelity, you know, and it works both ways. You know, women do cheat also, but that is a lot to deal with. Have any of you guys ever been cheated on?
No.
Not that I know.
I have as a young in my younger days, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean it hurts at different levels. I mean, but you know, hurt people. So I cheat, you cheat, we cheat, we all cheat.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, so you know, it's a circle.
I never necessarily considered it cheating unless you were married.
Oh, okay. If then no.
However you
I mean, that's the level I put on it. Was like if I didn't necessarily commit myself to you or promise myself to you in such a capacity where, you know, we're both before God. Like it's not adultery. I put it like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, thank God I've never experienced that. Not that I know of, obviously, but you know, that's never a good thing.
a lot of people don't want to take fault though. They don't want to realize that they did play a part, and that's where the biggest struggle is. A lot of people don't want to own up to their part in it.
So I wanted to touch on real quick. Focus. Could you mentioned something just a while ago about I wasn't a good wife, right? So what does that consist of? I mean, so you know, a lot of relationships and getting married young and people rush into things, and what does that really encompass as far as you say, I wasn't a good wife?
Sure. Well, as a female in relationship coach, I just got to back up for a second. I can't speed bump over because I wasn't married. I didn't cheat. I can't do that, fellas. I just can't do it.
All right.
I think she's talking to you, Bill.
Yeah, thanks for calling him out on that.
Baby, that did not come out of my mouth.
That was the views of Bill alone.
Yeah, man. I like how this bus is always riding over. Let's do it.
So it's necessary, see, ladies and gents that just heard that conversation. That's why you can't assume in a relationship. You need to ask, are we solo and are we just, monogamous? You got to ask that question. And here's the fun part of asking that question while you're just dating and boo loving before sex. You ask questions like, definition of cheating, right? You ask them, now here's a good one. If you're trying to figure out if they bisexual or homosexual, you go, if you could have a threesome or if you did have one, who was in the room?
You got to ask.
Wow, that's a hell of a question right there.
It never crossed my mind.
If
If you're homosexual, why are you dating me to begin with? This is ridiculous.
People change their mind about how they want to date and when. So you just want
Sexual? You can change your mind sexually?
absolutely,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely,
a whole other
yeah, you
show.
can.
But I just wanted to jump in.
We this pod, we ain't got enough time for that,
We ain't
brother.
got enough time.
You gotta answer the question, man.
But you want to ask
further-
that question. What's your definition of cheating to get clear? Because this is why a lot of people get a broken heart. And the other person don't even know that was the game they playing. They didn't know that was the rules that they were playing with, right? To ask that question. But to jump back into what you said, when I say I wasn't a good wife, one, he met me at 16. I was 16. He was 19. He was trying to, harrow me up. So I was really young. I didn't know how to wash clothes, do dishes, run a household. That's how unready I was, right?
Mm-hmm.
I went to community college. I got a 2-year scholarship there. So I went there from 8 to noon and then went to the gallery to work at the Hart's Ice Cream. I know
The gallery.
Wow.
Well, throwback
What
boys.
you know about that?
I tell my age right there. So from 1 to 7, I worked at the gallery at the Hart's Ice Cream. And we're about 3 weeks into the wedding, into the marriage. And I'm walking by and I'm like, as I'm running down the steps to hurry up and get my bus to get to school, to get to the campus, I said, wow, that's a lot of dirty clothes right there.
Just piling up.
They ain't gonna wash themselves.
I looked at him, I saw him see me, that I really in that moment, it was my job. I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing that, right?
Now, what did you guys talk about that, or is you automatically assume? At that point in time, even though you didn't have time for it, that it was your job to do everything domestic according to the house.
I kind of felt it was, but he also had 2 older sisters who helped him a lot at domestic, areas of his life. So everything was so rushed. We were so young. I broke up with him. I finally said yes. And then we got married in like 3 months, right? Because he thought I was going to change my mind again. So things went too fast. We didn't really properly prepare. And I'm big on that. I think that's chapter 7 in my book, Prior Preparation Prevents Poor Performance. You got to have these conversations. And I just really didn't know. I just thought I was escaping. I heard y'all amazing podcasts. If y'all didn't hear it, go back talking about mental health. And my mom was suffering from mental health and trauma. She was the 2nd generation of foster care. My father had mental health issues. He ended up, dying, when I was 10. So she was still traumatized. So when this gentleman wanted to give me a house, he had 2 parents in the church. Every time I went over their house, the dad is a deacon. He pulled out a guitar, the whole family singing. I was like, this is it. This is the Black Brady Bunch.
Count me in.
Black cult.
It's craziness.
Absolutely.
So for me, it was a ticket out of the craziness, right?
Gotcha.
Does not equal me being prepared. And he was willing because at that point I was snatched, right? I'm an athlete, so I'm gorgeous. I've got birthing hips. He was looking like
said birthing hips. Very important.
I like me some birthing hips.
Phenomenal woman.
He couldn't care if I really could cook because we can go over his mama house and eat. It's what.
Wow.
Love
it. And you're also a life coach, correct?
I am, and that's how that got birthed. Because once you heal the hurt, it's going to birth a purpose. I promise you, you're going to want to be able to share something with somebody.
Oh yeah, it's your testimony, right?
Yeah, like you guys, you birthing this podcast because you had enough life that you recognize you got a voice to share with others to create aha moments. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it gave birth to that.
So how exactly would one get over their husband not only cheating but having twins, which you ultimately wanted and asked for?
Yeah.
How did you overcome that?
Yes, great question. Well, I actually had to really get clear between what happened and the story I was telling myself about what happened. See, the story I told myself is that church folks ain't, feel that.
Right.
The story I told myself is all men cheat, right? The story I tell myself is that there's always a thought swinging around your husband's. Right? So there's no.
These are young people words.
But you know what it is.
I do. I said damn sure do.
There's no power in that story. But what actually happened was a young man cheated, right? What actually happened was a nanny and a husband was in close proximity, and neither one of them had a healthy outlet to deal with their own pain and turn to one another, right? And so that's what actually happened. What actually happened was some people went to church to get healed, and instead they end up getting married. That's right. So I never got what I went there for. See, I had just found out at 16 that it was told to me that my father committed suicide. So my brother came and said, listen, you need to go to church. God can be your father. So I was talking to God, but Satan answered. I was married a year later.
Wow.
I didn't even get my healing yet. And I'm walking down the aisle, but I was on the usher board. You see, I was on the choir. And this is not the bash church. This is just recognizing there needs to be a process before. Listen, on our job, we got 90 days before we get benefits. Why are we healed from what we came for yet? So that's how so that's really recognizing that, I had to separate that story. And once you separate that story, you can see the parts of you that need to be healed, and you can accept that part. Once you allow yourself to forgive yourself, then you're way more gracious to forgive others. But while you're beating yourself up and talk about woulda, coulda, shoulda, only if I was a better wife, only if I made better Kool-Aid and fried chicken better. But the fact that remains is that God is going to allow certain things to happen to us, to rub up against us, to just give us a higher frequency to live a better life. And that's my framework for it now. And so I genuinely was able to forgive, both of them. And I won't refer to her as a nanny anymore in this conversation because they're married. They actually got married and built a family, still have a church. It's still, I got to give a little pun though, guys. They still got the same 10 members the last 10 years. But
it's what them churches are only about 3 pews.
That was a rocky foundation.
10-member church.
Wow. So with that being said, and you haven't gone through that, looking back, what advice would you give to any young lady? Or what would you have done differently?
Yeah, great question. Well, absolutely. You must heal the hurt, or you're going to repeat the pain. I thought I was from the pain of being with my mother, and I recreated the same unstable life by picking another gentleman because my glasses was still colored like a rose color. So I couldn't see that he too was in pain and wanted to pick me because he saw that I was in some way emotionally weak and he can control me. Right. So I recognize now why he picked me. He saw I was in duress and I needed a place to go quickly. So I would agree eventually to get married quickly because I didn't have a stable home or a father that was there to protect me and say, well, wait a minute, son, we got to slow down. Let's take this.
Yeah, let's think about this.
So were you taking advantage of emotionally?
I would say absolutely. At 16, walking in, what are we talking about marriage for to a 16?
Yeah, 16
right.
But fundamentally, that challenge was very, that church was very challenged. They had several incidences where people had committed adultery, had babies out of wedlock. Even let me just say, people in the higher echelon of that church done that too, committed adultery. So basically, again, they didn't heal their hurt. So they were repeating the pain in other people's lives by making them hurry up and get married so they wouldn't burn and sin. But
trying to hurry up and get right, but you ain't ready to get right.
Yes, getting married created 1,000 more problems in my life. It is
absolutely. Wow. Well, that is definitely one heck of a story.
Yeah, that's heavy. Yeah, very heavy.
Kind of moving forward to hopefully shed some light, because this is a podcast full of testosterone.
Yeah. We definitely need a woman's
It's a pleasure to hear your voice and listen to your views. So can we dig into love language? And what exactly?
So
I want to know, am I
so
speaking it?
We talked about this.
So I try to
Fair.
educate the brothers on love language, and they're like, nah, I don't care about that.
I don't know if we pushed you off.
I think only one of us pushed you off.
Oh,
Yeah, that was me. That was me. Yeah, because I know when I'm with my wife, I'll reach my climax. I give you some sign language, but that's about it. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know about
Slow
I
down.
don't know.
You're probably speaking it and don't even know.
I'm trying to help these brothers evolve a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, as gentlemen, have like you say, have lived some life experiences.
It's time that
I like to think that I'm at a certain point, but please clear up where am I at, or what this whole thing is about.
This is
Inform.
one of my favorite subjects of 5 love languages because it causes emotional intelligence. It actually causes you to kind of rise up, beyond a pack of people who don't know what they don't know. So 2 things you get the gift of knowing the 5 love languages. One, you get to know how to ask for the love you actually need. And I'll tell you how crystal clear that became to me. I was walking into my mother's house and she was bedazzled out. She was ready for church. And I walked in, I said, Mom, you look gorgeous. And she said to me, yeah, you just take out that trash, right?
Right? Don't worry about how I look.
Right, because
me and my hat.
her love language is what's called acts of service.
Acts of service,
for
right.
her, she feels filled up and loved and touched and connected to you. So I went and took out the trash. I came back. I sat next to her on the couch and I said, now can I tell you how beautiful you look? She looked at me and shrugged her shoulders and she said, if you want to. Right.
Because you did an act.
No, because that doesn't move her.
It doesn't mean anything.
Well, yeah, what doesn't move her?
Telling her she looks good, or giving her the words of affirmation doesn't.
So you taking out the trash is what moves her.
Yes, the act of service.
A relationship, and you felt like you gave the woman all you could give, and she still wasn't grateful, or she just didn't receive it like you thought she would, and it didn't.
Yeah, I called her a heifer and kept it moving. Was I wrong in doing that?
No.
You could be right or you could be, happy, but you get to choose which one you want to be, right? So a lot of people go for more being right than happy. So I would recommend to figure out what her love language is, right? So like some women draw a man a bubble bath. When really, if you brought him home a cigar, if that's what he's into, he will be much more pleased.
Oh yeah,
and that's the act of service type of love. That's love number one.
Well, it's relative. So here's how you guys can kind of do, a cheat sheet. I would like.
Yeah, I'm writing all this down. Right. Yeah, I need a blueprint.
What language do I
home be speaking Swahili out there? Yeah. I'm gonna draw my wife a bath and take out the trash. Go ahead.
Do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, right. What you doing?
Y'all can have a freebie date night. Now, how do you do this? You go on and you just simply Google 5 love language quiz. Now, any woman would love to do this with you. So whether you're married, dating, or engaged, it's called the 5 love language quiz. So I recommend you read the book because it gives you a lot of nuances. But let's skip that because most people don't read a book after high school and college. Let's just jump right to the quiz.
Boom.
And you take the quiz.
Now you got to get the audio version.
Yeah.
Audio bill.
Yeah.
The audio
book.
Get the audio version.
It's called the Drive University. Just listen to it to and from.
Drive
You will score and get more love from your woman.
Magna cum laude.
So this quiz is only about 36 questions, and you get to tell each other stories as you answer it. So it gives you a different level of intimacy if you're dating. It allows, especially now we're in COVID, people are zooming and boo loving over Zoom. Use that time to get to know the person instead of watching Netflix and chill. It's a to enhance the connection so you can know if this is somebody you should be spending time with. But the 5 of them is acts of service, and here's how I find out. I'm gonna jump in. You take that quiz. At the end, it emails you your ranking of the 5 languages. What moves you the most? And of course, you'll see what your boo ranking is. And the book and the quiz gives you clues on what to do to fill up that person's love. There's gonna be a lot of baby making for people that read those books.
I do you woo woo woo.
I don't need no baby man. I'm good with the baby.
So you're telling me I can take the quiz, read this book, somebody that never met me or my boo